Presentation of this ViewFinder episode is locally supported by UC Davis Health System.
Hearing the words "you have cancer" is shocking. Unfortunately, they're words heard over and over again. Hello, I'm Jennifer Whitney. In this program, you're going to see what's being done in our region to help should someone you know get that shocking news. And now, cancer, what you need to know.
50.
Al Witchy's daughter Terry was just 50 years old when she lost her battle with pancreatic cancer.
She didn't let me know she had the lumps behind her ear. And then as soon as she showed me that, I said, well, you're going to go see a doctor. You seen the picture of her helping me make sausage. It was right after that when the lumps started appearing.
Terry was living with her dad in their Oroville home when she was diagnosed. She died a few months later in September of 2007. Now, her death is part of an investigation by the state of California and the Butte County Department of Public Health.
There is a cluster of pancreatic cancer that occurs in the South Butte County area, the Oroville area. And we're beginning an investigation to see if we can't determine its cause.
From 2004 to 2005, the California Cancer Registry reported 23 cases of pancreatic cancer in Oroville. That's twice the number considered normal for the area.
There is a Superfund site in our community. We have no knowledge right now that this cluster is connected, but we will be asking questions that might connect this Superfund site.
The location is the Old Coppers Industries plant south of Oroville, a wood treatment facility that closed in 2001. It was designated a Superfund in 1984, which is what the federal government calls its program to clean up hazardous waste sites.
We're happy that they've done a lot of cleanup and they are in the process of reviewing the removal of that designation.
Contamination at the Coppers plant was reported back in the early 1970s. A variety of dangerous chemicals, including DDT, had leached into groundwater supplying residential wells.
They've done a lot of cleanup of groundwater and of soil, but indeed it may be a risk factor we'll go look at.
As a young man, Judy McInturf's husband, Hack, worked at the facility.
I know he worked in the yard out in the at the plant.
Hack was an avid fisherman, devoted grandfather, and husband. He and Judy celebrated more than 50 years together, many spent in the charming adobe home he built. Then, 3 years ago, Hack thought he was getting ulcers, but instead,
it was pancreatic cancer, and that he was stage 4.
Stage 4 is advanced, and the only treatment available to him was chemotherapy. Months clicked by, and Hack continued feeding his birds and sauntering off to the workshop in his lush backyard. He was in hospice only a week before he died.
A very good friend of ours was diagnosed a year later. We weren't really connecting dots at that point. It was just, why would these two fellows that knew each other so well and had been friends all these years, you know, both end up with pancreatic cancer. And then, after that, it was brought to light that there was indeed a cluster here.
A cluster always provides an opportunity to maybe learn something about cancer. I might say it's a sad opportunity. We're trying to keep a really open mind here. I think that if we were to focus on the Coppers Superfund site, we may miss an opportunity to discover the actual cause. And although we'll keep that on the list of the possibilities.
If I could have him back, you know, that would be the best, but I can't. So the best I can hope for is that someone else will be prevented from having to go through this.
While investigators search for answers in Oroville, 4-year-old Benjamin is helping researchers find a cure for children living with cancer.
He'd been to the doctor about 4 times.
He had an ear infection that was just going undiagnosed. We'd go in and we'd get another round of antibiotics. It just didn't quite go away.
Then, in October of 2005, Ben couldn't stand up. His parents rushed him to the doctor. Within hours, their entire life changed. Ben had leukemia.
We needed to make decisions about his treatment very, very quickly because he needed to be started on chemo as soon as possible.
How are you feeling today?
Claire and Gerald Bowden decided to enroll their son in a clinical trial.
The doctors come to you, obviously presenting the clinical trial, and it wasn't a difficult decision for us. The trial itself was state-of-the-art. It was the most recent, current treatment for leukemia.
Can you see inside your mouth?
Ben's chemo days are long. Snuggled safely in his mother's arms, Ben settles in at an infusion room at Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Sacramento.
It just feels like a little poke, and it goes in, and that's how he gets his medication.
I've known Benjamin almost 3 years. He's been putting up with a lot. He has had a very long treatment because that's the standard of care for children with acute lymphocytic leukemia. He's been a trooper.
Parents are desperate for a cure. Half of all kids with cancer will be enrolled in clinical trials, as opposed to only 3 to 5% of adults.
We think clinical trials are very, very important for multiple reasons. We think first off, it gives the child the state-of-the-art therapy, really cutting-edge treatment plans and intensive supervision of their treatment.
Drawbacks may include more blood samples and x-rays.
Children's studies have been going on since the 1960s. And in the 1960s, most children's cancers, such as leukemia, had just as poor a prognosis for children as they did for adults. But because of intensive research over the last 40 years, children's prognosis has improved very markedly. Now, a child with standard risk leukemia who's between the ages of 2 and 10 has about an 85% chance of being permanently cured. That's far better than an adult with the same disease, and it's a result of so many families participating in the previous years of clinical trials.
Ben's prognosis is good.
Shine the light in there. Open wide.
It's wonderful to take care of a child who thrives.
With chemo finally over, Ben gets to go home.
Guess what? The tape's already half off.
Are we going to count to 3?
1,
2, 3. All done.
I didn't cry.
No, you didn't cry.
5-year-old Amy is also helping doctors better understand cancer.
She's had over 22 skin cancers removed since 16 months.
Amy has a very rare inherited disease called XP. There are only 1,000 cases in the country.
When she was first diagnosed, it was surgery after surgery after surgery, because with XP, the damage is cumulative. So any damage that she received in the first 16 months of her life will continue to come out for the next 5 to 10 years.
Any sunlight, even some indoor light, can cause severe burns and skin cancer.
When they told me that they thought she had this, they just said, don't take her outside. All those dreams that you have of your child like flash in front of you. You're like, she's not going to be going to Girl Scout camp or horseback riding or getting married on the beach outside. So I think it was more like kind of like a death for the first couple years. But now that we've had it, we just work our lives around to what we can do.
Amy recently had skin cancer surgery on her cheek and is having the sutures removed.
Did that hurt?
Yes, it hurt.
Just a tiny?
With XP, it's a great example of what happens to everybody's skin on a daily basis. With Amy, she can't repair the normal ultraviolet damage that's done to her cells that occurs every day in all of us.
Amy easily freckles and wears a hood when she goes outside during the day. If not,
I have to go to doctors and get stitches like this again.
This bright 5-year-old is learning to live with the rare condition, and that's caught the attention of some of her favorite stars, Hilary Duff and Hannah Montana.
She's a great example of what the sun does to you every day.
Dr. Burns is a dermatologist and skin cancer expert.
Over 1 million skin cancers a year in the United States alone, and that number continues to increase. Some of the latest figures show up probably 1.3 million skin cancers this upcoming year. So it's extremely common in our areas where there's a lot of sun exposure and people do a lot of outdoor activities. It's extremely common.
His advice? Lather on the sunscreen.
At least a 15, but if you've had skin cancers or other skin issues, probably moving up to a 30 is a better choice.
Skin cancer is not pretty.
The most common type of skin cancer is basal cell carcinoma.
78-year-old Nancy Ware used to bake in the sun to get that golden tan. All these years later, she has skin cancer.
They were squamish and basic cells. I was very thankful to God that I didn't have melanoma.
This is a very subtle basal cell carcinoma. Often basal cell carcinomas are quite subtle.
Squamous cell carcinoma looks more like fish scales on the skin. They can appear anywhere on the body, but are commonly found on the inside of the ear. We don't usually think about applying sunscreen there. And then there's melanoma.
This is a picture of a melanoma.
Both light and dark-skinned people are at risk. Getting suspicious moles checked is important. That means any moles that have grown or changed in color.
If you catch it early, it's 99% curable. If you wait and get it diagnosed later and it's deeper, then the survival goes down to 20 to 30%.
Getting cancer diagnosed and treated sooner rather than later could save your life. Elonzer Irwin is struggling with that reality.
They didn't say breast cancer. They said they saw something, they saw a spot, and they were going to watch it.
A year and a half later, Elonzer wasn't feeling well. More tests and a biopsy determined the spot was indeed malignant. She had a mastectomy. That was 7 months ago.
I haven't gotten any support. I even signed up for in-home care, and I haven't received it, and I signed up last July.
Like many low-income women, especially women of color, Elonzer's breast cancer was diagnosed in a more advanced state.
It's been like a roller coaster ride because like from the beginning I was in shock, and I have to be the strong daughter. So I just try to be supportive and try not to break, because if she's going through so much and she sees me breaking down, and it kind of makes her stress even more. So I try to keep her calm and collected.
Elonzer is unable to sit up and keeps her arm elevated because of swelling. It's one of many complications since her surgery.
High blood pressure, heart problems. She didn't have any kind of problems with high blood pressure before the cancer.
Through all of this, Jessica graduated from high school with honors and is being courted by some of the best colleges in the country: Yale, Harvard, Cornell. But instead of going to school, she has the responsibility of staying home with her mom.
When she's feeling like she can't make it at home anymore, she'll go to the emergency.
She deserves better. She deserves someone to come out to her home and assess her situation and play the role that her daughter has.
A ray of hope. Megan Matheny is the Breast Cancer Services Coordinator at Sacramento's nonprofit agency, Breaking Barriers.
There is a lack of any kind of resources within the Sacramento community if you fall into a certain socioeconomic background. And I say this because these are my clients and I work with them every day.
Breaking Barriers tries to bridge that gap.
We ensure that you have food in your cupboard, that you have financial assistance if you are in danger of losing your home or having any of your utilities shut off. Advocacy if you feel that you're receiving substandard care.
Elonzer isn't alone. That's why Marlene von Friedrichs Fitzwater is outreaching to underserved American Indian women through a UC Davis program.
American Indian women may not have a higher incidence of breast cancer than other racial ethnic groups, but they have poorer survival, higher rate of mortality, and very poor screening rates. So they tend to be diagnosed late, at a late stage, and thus more likely to die.
Outreach is one of the most effective ways of reaching Indian people in Indian country.
Linda Navarro and Marlene work on the Mother's Wisdom Breast Health Program in an effort to raise awareness and educate women about cancer. Many cancers, in fact about a third, are caused by lifestyle, and they're preventable. Poor diet, obesity, smoking, and excessive drinking are believed to be risk factors. Some cultures are more difficult to reach.
What we're finding is that smoking is very common among Asian males in Asia, very uncommon in Asian females in Asia. But the problem is that when they migrate to the United States, it appears that that a reversal of the trends are occurring.
Mei-Ying Lee works with the Sacramento Asian American Cancer Awareness Research and Training Program. Currently, cancer is the #1 cause of death for Asian Americans. That's partly due to a lack of screenings.
Cervical cancer is the leading cancer death among women.
Raising awareness and linking people to cancer screenings is a good first step, and an important one. 46-year-old Gloria Smith is probably alive because of an astute genetic counselor. She and her mom, Joyce, will be forever grateful.
I think we can feel quite confident that your father and your brother both carried the same mutation as you, and that would explain the gastric cancer in your family.
Gloria already had been diagnosed and treated for lobular breast cancer. She told Maud Blundell at the Sutter Cancer Center that both her dad and brother died of stomach cancer at a young age.
I think having seen her brother die and having seen her father die of gastric cancer, for her, she decided that's not a place that I want to be. And I think it's worked out really well for her, and I'm just thrilled to see how well she is doing, and it certainly was the right decision for her.
I was thinking, Dad, I'm not ready to see you yet. You know, I was thinking, you know, I just don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Maud was aware of research that linked lobular breast and gastric cancer. She told Gloria, who then requested genetic testing.
82% chance, they said, I had of getting stomach cancer.
Gloria decided to have a gastrectomy.
The whole stomach has been removed.
The decision to have a gastrectomy was not an easy decision to make. In her situation, there are some cancers, gastric cancer being one, and ovarian cancer being another example, that we do not have good screening for these cancers, unfortunately.
Gloria's mom has been with her daughter throughout this ordeal. The concern now is for Gloria's brothers and sisters.
Just pray to God that nothing ever happens to anybody else in my family.
Darren and Betsy Anderson know that cancer threatens to rob families of precious moments. But when cancer came knocking, the couple embraced it head-on with a new arsenal of technology.
Everything was great, and then all of a sudden I get this news that I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. It was a shock. 1,800 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer each year in the Sacramento region. Nationwide, about 16% of men will get the diagnosis. I was just in a funk for about a month, just trying to figure out what my options were, what life was going to be like for me after surgery.
Traditional surgery involves the removal of the prostate gland, usually leaving a 10-inch scar. The procedure often results in substantial blood loss and requires a lengthy recovery. Men also face possible impotence and incontinence. Only 43 years old and the father of 3, Darren got a second opinion.
Your mind, if it can just really drift, and it's like, okay, well, what would happen if something really happened to him and I had to be the one to take care without him, and I, you know, or just to not have him for the rest of my life. It was a very difficult time, very difficult.
He saw Sutter urologist Dr. Brian Naftalin, who said Darren was a candidate for a new, state-of-the-art robotic procedure named after Da Vinci.
Evidently, Leonardo da Vinci developed the first drawing of a robotic arm, and that's how they came up with it.
With the surgeon sitting across the room, the robotic technology allows precise control during an operation. Incisions are small, blood loss and pain minimal, and recovery much faster.
It's taken something that was a very invasive procedure. It has really transformed the surgical treatment for prostate cancer. We were the first hospital in Sacramento to get it, and it's been in use here for 3 years.
The procedure is delicate and minimally traumatic and calls for an overnight stay in the hospital.
That translates into a marked reduction in the risk of incontinence, urinary leakage problems after the procedure, as well as a decrease in the risk of problems with erections.
With more cases of prostate cancer being detected, especially in younger men, Da Vinci is revolutionizing the surgical process.
I don't have any problems, and I'm very, very fortunate. I know that doesn't happen for everybody, so I count my blessings, but I do think that the approach that I took was definitely the best approach.
Living with cancer is not easy. That's why this support group was started.
It's just a gift to be able to participate in doing this.
Connie Kishbaugh is an oncology nurse.
It has been an incredible, incredible journey for me to work with cancer patients for the last 35 years. And I've learned very much.
But through her work, she detected a void. Patients were being probed and pricked for treatments, but not receiving the gentle touch she knew they needed. A year ago, she opened the Center for Cancer Spirit Healing. She offers meditation and oncology massage, free of charge.
I felt it was the place in nursing where I could have the greatest impact.
I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer last November, so I'm in treatment as we speak. The meditation process and the process of the oneness blessing, where you feel like you're part of a bigger whole than just yourself, I think makes a tremendous difference. Because when you're diagnosed with cancer, you're faced with many, many decisions and all kinds of loving friends making suggestions, and it just comes at you like unfiltered, all of these, do this, do that. And I think this meditation process has helped me to be a stronger, knowing who I am kind of individual.
At 39, Sean Mee was diagnosed with colorectal cancer.
I'm doing okay. I'm free of cancer. I have a lot of kind of residual chronic discomfort and bowel problems because of the surgeries that I had. You just want something good, you know, while you're going through a lot of difficult stuff.
These people are so incredible. They're my heroes.
Heroes come in all shapes and sizes, some human, some not.
The dogs were the center of her universe.
Photographs of Leah Vandenberg with her dogs are easy to find.
More than her work, more than me, were her dogs.
Nick Trujillo and Leah were married for 20 years. Both taught as professors at Sacramento State University. Nick will never forget the phone call. Leah was sick.
They thought it was stage 4 ovarian cancer and that she might have months to live. And so that, a moment that changed my life, certainly. She just loved life. She loved her job. She loved, teaching was a passion for her.
Leah was diagnosed with ovarian cancer at the age of 54. She took 1 semester off for treatment and then returned to the classroom.
She wanted to be in the classroom and also wanted to look at the classroom as an opportunity to teach people about how to deal with a terminal illness and how to die with dignity. We taught our students more during that time just by doing our jobs, you know. And there's Leah, who has cancer and at that point a bald head. And she's smiling and living her life with joy, saying, you know, things happen. Bad things happen to people. Life goes on.
A cancer diagnosis isn't always about getting ready to die. It's about diving into life and finding joy, whether you have a few months or a few years. For Leah and Nick, the two decided to co-author a book about their experience.
We tape recorded, usually on trips with the dogs up to the mountains or to the coast.
November 24th, I'm at the Harrington Access Park. Nick and the boys have gone to do their little 40-minute loop. It's a quiet afternoon. Saw Dr. Huey this morning. She wasn't sure, nor was I, that I was able to tolerate that particular treatment. think it's time to start taking those serious goodbyes. So, it's another milestone day, I guess.
At 55, Leah lost her battle with cancer. With Leah in his heart, Nick finished the book.
It's a beautiful book, and it really is the story of our lives, her death, and then my grief experience, told from each of our perspectives.
The name of the book is Cancer and Death, a love story in 2 voices.
Taking care of my dying wife is my proudest accomplishment, and being there the moment of her death, holding her hand, stroking her head, telling her it's okay. I mean, to do that, it's just amazingly empowering, because I didn't think I could do that. Now I know I can do anything.
Leah is happy every day. Leah, yeah, yeah, always had something to say. Leah, oh yeah, smile lit up a room. Leah,
to order a DVD copy of this program, call 888-814-3923 or visit kvie.org/viewfinder. Presentation of this ViewFinder episode is locally supported by UC Davis Health System.